was a sophomore, he was a junior. He messaged me on Tumblr, as was the way to hit up, the popular kids. He messaged me on Tumblr and started like flirting with me, and we got into a sexual relationship that, we never dated, Malcolm Jones, he went here. We never dated, but it was, I guess we hooked up on and off for a year, sophomore year till last August, and it was an emotionally and physically abusive relationship, and it took me a very long time to realize that. Sometime I realized it in the spring of my junior year. I was on Tumblr and I was reading about consent, and I guess I had this weird feeling in my gut, and I was like, oh, why am I getting upset about this? Because I remembered a time of earlier in the spring of my junior year. I was hanging out with friends at my house without checking in with me first, without anything, and I moved my hips and I reached back, and he took my hand and slammed it down, and just continued to. I started crying. He just kept going, didn't do anything. That night also, he choked me. Not, because choking can be BDSM, sadomasochism, like a fun, it can be, if done in a safe way, in a way that's done with communication, it can be fun and safe. And a healthy, fun part of sex is if that's what your partners are into. But he choked me to the point where I had strangulation marks the next day on my neck. Also that night, then later after that we had vaginal sex again, and I pulled up my underwear and I started walking away, and he said, no, get back here, I'm not done. And he just had controlling throughout our entire relationship that wasn't a relationship, had controlling words like that. He would show up out of my house out of the blue. He would come at 3 a.m. One time he texted me and just said, I see her down the window, I know you're home, get out, come out here. I'm trying to find, I have a list of all of the words he said to me, and he was a year older than me. That's a power difference, which is a very problem in high school relationships, why I think it's so dangerous, and partly why I'm talking today, because so often you see the popular crowds, you see that a year older, you see people like freshman, senior hooking up, and there's a huge power difference and manipulation, and it's so easy for the older person to take advantage of the younger person, because the younger person feels like they have validation by hooking up with someone who's older, who's cooler, who's more popular, and that's why I did it, and that's why I found out that he had raped me, and I continued hooking up with him, because at that point I was in an emotionally abusive and manipulative and sexually abusive relationship, and I felt like I couldn't get out. I felt like my self-worth was degraded, was lost. I had self-shame, self-hate. My worth was just lowered to a huge extent. I guess at the time I had started this is my self-care journal. It's been pretty awesome in helping me just record all of my feelings. At the time, I thought of myself as a second-class prostitute. I wrote all of this like a month after I found out. Beaten, fat, used, soiled, fucked, trash, whore, abused. Known I should have done something, and it continued for so long that my self-worth, it continued over an entire year, that my self-worth was just so drained. And that night, after he had raped me, he said, oh, so you don't vibe anal, huh? He acknowledged that he acknowledged that what he had just done to me, I did not enjoy, I did not like. He told me that, and it was really hard. About a week ago, I actually met with him, and I sat down and I told him basically what I'm telling you. I told him everything that he had done to me, and everything how how it has affected my year in every single aspect. I'm triggered all of the time. Red jackets, minivans. I walk home now because of the flowers remind me of him. It's affected me in my school. It changes my focus. It affected my college decisions because of the college. He goes to OSU, and I didn't want to go there because that's where he went. And when I talked to him, he acknowledged that he had manipulated me and taken advantage of me. And he said, you know, I just used you to get at your friend because she was making me mad. And yes, I took advantage of you, but the only reason I hooked up with you was to use you to get back at her. Which was, it was hard to hear. It was really hard to hear. And I'm still, I think it was good that I met with him because I needed to have him acknowledge what he did to me. And it felt like, and this is not, I don't encourage necessarily meeting with, if you're a survivor, meeting with your rapist, because it can be very dangerous. And I knew that he wasn't going to hurt me, but in like Mary's case, it would not have been safe for her to contact the person who had almost killed her. But in my case, I felt that it was necessary for me to get closure and to move on with my life. And I'm still healing and still getting closure every day. I have nightmares about him. I disassociate sometimes. Mary talked about the psychological effects, and that's basically where you kind of are out of it for a little while, and you don't really, it's like you're driving somewhere and you don't remember how you got there. That happens to me sometimes in my day-to-day life. I think the nightmares are one of really hard. Every time I see him at a party, every time I see a picture of him, every time I see him smiling, every time someone mentions his name, my body reacts physically. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I can't continue on with my day. It's so hard seeing him interact with my peers, and I think that's a huge thing. Well, if you know someone who's a survivor and they ask you, please don't interact with my rapist, it's on you to be there and to support them wholly and to not do that. And if you see, another important thing I've had told all of my friends, if they see him at a party, to text me, tell me that he's there. And I won't necessarily go to it, or they'll summon a lot of my friends. Actually, they kicked him out of a party once so I could go, which was pretty awesome. Let's see. Yeah, and I think I victimized myself a lot. I still blame myself, and that's been the hardest because I just think all the time, why didn't I fight? Why didn't I leave if I knew that he had raped me? I continued hooking up with him after I knew because I couldn't leave. I couldn't get out of it. My good friend Julio actually helped me. He was the one who helped me get out of it. He was the first person I told. And he was like, you need to stop. You need to leave. These are texts he sent me over time. One time he just let himself into my house, just walked in. He said, get out, come here. I'm at your house. Just come outside real quick. I'm not supposed to be here. Come on, just do it. Get over here. Open the door. I'm literally still here. You might as well come out. I'm just too close. Where are you? And then I guess it got really controlling when the point he texted me one day, just skirt, to the point where he was telling me what to wear to school. He was controlling what I wore, and I guess I thought it as like normal, and I thought it was sexy, and I thought the relationship was normal, and I didn't even think that something was going on until months later. And now, and I still have memories that my memories are still blocked from parts of that time that I can't really access, that I'm still working through and trying to, I guess, heal. And I've really been actively healing, which I think has been the strongest thing of just trying. And like this has been amazing. It's my self-care notebook. I just take time. I have pictures of all my friends, just me going like that to make me feel strong. It makes me, for sure, boyfriend love. And just, it helps me. I write in it if I'm triggered, or if I need to support myself, I'll take it places. Sometimes I take it to school if I need, like this is my little support book. And I think that's why self-care is so important. And journaling has helped me so much. And I actually, on Tumblr, again, I found a community of survivors, self-care after rape, on Tumblr, and it's just this amazing community of survivors who work together and support each other, and you can ask questions about, and it's been amazingly uplifting. And I guess I just think I'm here today to advocate for this because I didn't know that I was raped until so long after, and I think it's so, so important that consent needs to be, everyone needs to know about it, because it's possible to not even know that you were raped. It's possible to not know that you were taken advantage of, and that happened to me. And I think consent needs to be mandatorily taught at a young age, to where when you're sexually active, you know that it's so important to communicate and to feel safe in a relationship where everyone checks in. You check in with your partner before doing things. And I hate the stigma of thinking it's not sexy to say, can I kiss you? But you know what, it is sexy because you are asking them, you are gaining their permission. Boundaries are so important within two relationships and with people, even with friends. Boundaries are a necessity. And that's another thing with survivors, I guess, is just respecting boundaries and respecting if they don't want to talk about things sometimes, or if they need to leave a room, or there's just a lot of things that you need to adjust. When he raped me, a part of my personality just felt like he took it away from me, and I stopped. My whole world changed. My whole world was affected, and I guess I needed my friends to understand that I couldn't possibly be this person I was before my rape, as I couldn't be the same person. I couldn't do the same things, and my friends have been amazing about it. And they, writing a letter to a survivor, checking in, saying, I love you, you mean the world to me. And just, I guess, hearing from me, over and over again, like it wasn't my fault, has been amazing. All of my friends say that to me a lot. And each time they say it, just gets more and more ingrained into me, because I still, daily, I'll have doubts. I'll go back to that feelings of, it was my fault. I could have done more. But I guess just really, just being there in every way for survivors because it is life-changing and something that you have to deal with for the rest of your life. And it is imperative, especially because depression and suicide are so prevalent within rape and sexual abuse survivors. So I guess that's the one thing I want you to take away, is the importance of consent and how dangerous relationships can be when, especially in power differences in high school. I just see it every day, every single day. The senior, the sophomore, the senior, the junior, the senior taking advantage, the senior using his power, his coolness to get someone to have sex with him, and then being like, oh, you know what, it was so cool, and the girl kind of, or the boy, or anyone for that matter, feeling kind of confused and feeling like I was, like they didn't know why they felt. But they didn't know what was going on, but it was that there's a power difference, they were being taken advantage of and manipulated, and I think that needs to be called out much more than it is in high school culture, because I see it at every single party I'm at, and it needs to change. It just flat out needs to change, because it's not okay, and it's so dangerous.